state your name? And
Oh yes, so I'm Lorraine Gilbert, and I'm an artist. Well, I thought I was an artist first, but now I'm also a professor full-time and also director at the moment in the visual arts department. And I've been using photography as my medium. And well, there you go for now.
We noticed you focused a lot on the Canadian landscape, especially in BC and the forests and everything like that, and the effects of deforestation. Can you tell us what first interested you in the Canadian landscape and its changes?
Yes, I would say that the thing that first really interested me was the fact that I had to work in it. And so I had begun being a photographer in Vancouver, in BC, and BC is very big nature. It's very incredible, and I somehow got a job planting trees, and so it was, and I didn't even think about making pictures right away. I was just busy working. I'd say I'll make some money, then I go back to the city and do my art. And so until I started realizing that what was around me was something that should be documented in some way. So I was thinking about documentary, but not documentary in the strict sense of the word, but rather that here was an art project too.
Mm-hmm. And what first struck you with the impact of deforestation, or what was that first experience when you realized that mass forests were just being wiped out?
I think it's the thing about like working in them all day long. It very much that work came out of being a tree planter, and being a tree planter came out of being interested in environmental biology in the first place. So I didn't study art in my undergrad. I studied biology, and I was in the environmental biology program. That's what they called it then. And the reason I moved to BC was to study forestry, and I was interested more in forest ecology, so just a love of nature in the first place. And so I wasn't able to study forest ecology because it was really popular at the time. It was just all, ecology was starting as a big theory and something that you could actually study. So when I did end up going to the going to work in the bush, it was really an overwhelming sense of here I was coming in at the other end. So I had wanted to study forestry to maybe help in some way. I realized I couldn't really doing what I was doing then, and besides I was becoming much too interested in art. And so I'd combined the two, and that was the beginning of a real artistic direction for me, because it was about something. It was about what is going on out there, and what is going on is basically crazy deforestation. And okay, I'll just let you ask another question.
Sure. With this unique perspective you had of being an artist and all that stuff, what do you think your art, your photography, what was the goal? What were you aiming to express to the public? And do you think that was attained? Do you think the public that went to your art showings, did they really get what you were trying to put forward?
Yes, I do think so. What I was trying to do was simply to I would say document, but not as a strict documentary practice, but to document what it was like historically to be tree planters today being 25 years ago. Because here we are, a completely modern contemporary culture that should know a whole lot better, and yet as a middle class bourgeois kid, I had a shovel and boots, and the only way to actually make a difference was to plant trees and to work really hard and to realize that there's all kinds of exploitation going on. Not that tree planters were exploited, but that they were exploiting the forests and the resources, and they exploit people to do the work, and they of all kinds of work, everything that has to do with the environment. So I mean, there's kind of the disrespect of people and the environment, all of this coming together in understanding that things are not all right. I mean, I knew that already, but being on the ground, seeing these beautiful mountain landscapes that I had seen only in photographs by photographers who I admired, and then seeing them with nothing on them, I kept thinking to myself that I couldn't photograph these places because people had already done it. And then I realized, wait a minute, they haven't done it like this, because what I'm seeing is not the same thing. So I realized that I could actually photograph what I saw, and that somehow it would communicate something to people. The fact that the landscapes are beautiful, a bit Edward Bertinsky style, they were Ansel Adams quality. I would hope that would make people think about the fact that, look at these beautiful places that they are, doing this too. So I would say that in general, whatever I wanted to do worked, in the sense that people who had never seen that kind of thing before saw it, and that's all we can do sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Was climate change ever a discussion among the tree planters, or even then again in your art showings? Did you hear that reoccurring theme often? All
the time. I happened to be in tree planting crews that were natural hippie types. So they were already interested in all of that. Like, we ate really well in tree planting camps. It was like natural foods, and it wasn't a logging camp style. It was a group of people who actually believed in the environment and helping it and doing things. At the same time, we knew that we were also just players in the industry, because the way that the logging was working was that companies had to replant a certain amount, and then they would get a percentage of allowable cut rights. So they would have rights to cut certain amount of trees, but they had to prove that they had planted some as well. So all we were doing were putting trees back that were first monocultures. Nothing was ecologically sound. It was monocultures of single types of trees. They were planted in areas sometimes that normally it would take over 200 years to grow a decent tree, but they were trying to grow them fast. So it was really all wrong in many ways.
Mm-hmm. What else do you think the artistic community, photographers, artists, all together, could do to continue the conversation on climate change, or even just deforestation as a specific topic?
Well, it's interesting because right now deforestation is kind of taking a back burner to oil pipelines and tar sands, and so I went back to BC very recently, and nobody was talking about the forests anymore. They were talking about other really important things. So I think that it's definitely all mixed in together, and that if you actually go to these places, I think that helps a lot to find out what's going on, support those people who are actually doing the work on the ground. Not everybody can be on the ground and protesting, and so I just think an awareness, and also an actual change in one's own life. And as a result of seeing hearing the talk by it's Pam Logan-Barty, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. As a result of hearing that, I mean, I knew about plastics, but her talk, that's it now. I'm going to make that change in my own life. Mm-hmm. Of having heard that, and it requires effort. It's incredible. Suddenly, plastic is all around me, and I'm thinking, wow, my God, I'm so much a part of the problem. So I think that trying to be aware, making those actual changes in one's own life, and then doing whatever one can. That's about it, really.